Quick update of recent events, if we can keep up with it all. In the last couple of days I've done several radio programmes. I'd like to touch on some of the points that were raised during those and expand on them a bit more. First of all, Stoke-on-Trent radio this morning about Care Home Open Day. Our view on this is that there are many days in the year, and why are care homes having this fancy open day? It's just a show, a charade. But the saddest thing for me is the fact that the staff will be running around preparing the home for this open day, putting the flowers on the table and making everything look hunky-dory, and they'll be doing it at the expense of care. And I've seen this firsthand, and I think that that is perverse, to be honest. And it obviously hasn't occurred to the CQC because they're not checking to see if there's any extra staffing numbers being put on for this care home opening day. Other than that, I think my view on it is clear, and the reason is that the people in the home should be cared for no matter what, and PR stunts are irrelevant. One of the questions that came up was about bad press with care homes. Our view on this is that when there's abuse in a care home and the management have an act and the whistleblowers lost their job and the abusers continue abusing, then yes, it should be exposed in the media. Yes, it should, all the time. It's not about bad press of care homes. It's about the media telling the truth. Now, at the end of the day, if a ferry sank tomorrow, you wouldn't, well, I'd like to hope you wouldn't, get the BBC saying, oh, this ferry sank, but we're going to show you another ferry that didn't sink. Because that's ridiculous. As a care worker myself, if there was a story in the newspaper about abuse and, about people being arrested, I was pleased that the abuse had been exposed, and I was pleased that it had been stopped. I didn't feel it was any kind of attack on me. I was just pleased that people, were getting the care they deserved and that the abusers had been arrested. So bad press on care homes, this seems to be a big thing lately. In the last couple of years I've noticed this. Oh, don't say negative stories about care homes. That's like saying suppress abuse. Don't tell the public what's going on. Don't tell the truth. Well, the media's job is to report on news. The media's job is to report on news, and news is when you've got abusive care homes. You can't go around filming care homes that are good, because that isn't news by its very nature. That should be the norm, good care. That should be the everyday norm, what's expected. It's not news. But, we cannot have this attitude to don't report abuse because it makes the care industry look bad. Well, the care industry does look bad, and for good reason. So that's that point. The other thing today is I've heard Andrea Sutcliffe on, I don't know what programme it was, The World at One on Radio 4. Oh my, if I had £1 for every time I hear the CQC or whatever they're calling themselves, last time, over and over, oh, there's all these terrible care homes, but we have these enforcement powers, we can issue them with warning notices. Do you could probably pile a bigger mountain than Everest with the warning notices that the CQC give out. They mean nothing whatsoever. They just go, oh, here's your warning notice, I'm going away. We'll be publishing our first report on a care home post the new CQC inspection regime. I've seen many of those as well. What's changed? Well, now the CQC do not have a tick list culture, they have a spot list culture. And can I spot the difference? No, I cannot. The same pattern. Oh, here's a good report. Well, actually, we were being a bit over generous with the evidence. Oh, and very quickly the home becomes bad again. Oh, we did something about it. Here's a good report. Oh, and very quickly the home becomes what it was always in the first place, and it goes on and on and on. They're not tackling the problems. What they're doing is they're sticking plasters on it and trying to make themselves look like they're robust in their job. Well, they are not. Oh, we've heard today, oh, so many care homes are terrible. I don't want to know about how many care homes they've rated bad, because we've heard all this before. I want to know what they're doing about it. Oh, we closed 30 care homes in the last year. Well, I should be checking that, because the last time you told me that you were closing care homes, CQC, you hadn't closed any. So at the end of the day, poor care is happening, and it's happening out there, and it's happening for year after year after year. And then the CQC will come up with another new regime that isn't spots or ticks. Maybe they should try stripes next time. At the end of the day, Edna's Law would negate the need for the existence of the CQC. If whistleblowers were protected, abuse would be investigated properly, and abusers will be held to account where it matters, in a court of law, in front of a jury. Because at the end of the day, we've got to stop treating criminal offences like they're safeguarding issues. At the end of the day, there are crimes, and Edna's Law would make sure that those crimes were held to account, and those responsible for them were held to account, and they would make sure that whistleblowers could speak out. At the end of the day, that isn't the case at the moment, and it never will be, because you cannot protect whistleblowers with policies and procedures. And I'm already beginning to see that Sir Robert Francis' legacy. I called it a joke book because I can't even talk about it without laughing, but at least, that most days, I feel like crying with the amount of horror and abuse that's going on, and that's going on under the noses of the authorities. Now, whistleblowing guardians, well, they seem to be the people that are most likely in an NHS trust to look the other way when they see anything wrong. And they're the people that are becoming the guardians, and that's what it's going to amount to. And Robert Francis, you will seriously have blood on your hands, and everyone else that's ignoring the problem and saying we do not need Edna's Law, you will all have blood on your hands, because the next disaster, the next train crash, the next ferry sinking, the next big abuse scandal, the next big NHS hospital scandal is already beginning. And, do you want to be responsible for that? Because I would not be. So I would say to the government, we shall keep on until we get what's right. Because at the end of the day, it's hard to ignore it when you know what's wrong.